Bitcoin is down 74% from its peak. Now, again, what's the difference between the first two, Meta and Netflix, and Bitcoin? The first two are very mature. They're not the new innovators anymore. In fact, they're being disrupted. Whereas Bitcoin is the disruptor, and I would submit those running real innovation strategies are more in this early stage group. And if you look at the history of Bitcoin, and you look at 2017, for example, in the context of what happened afterwards, it looks like a blip, and we think that will continue to be the case as Bitcoin continues to gain traction, and as innovation strategies continue to gain traction. I was asked this week in an interview whether, how I could possibly feel with this kind of down round. And of course, it never feels good. But because of our research and because of our 5-year investment time horizon, what is happening here is the rubber band is stretching. Because if anything, the turmoil that we're in right now, economically and otherwise, is going to hasten the adoption of these new technologies.
Star stock picker Cathie Wood of ARK Invest has once again suggested that the U.S. economy will soon experience deflation and said that the reported acquisition of crypto exchange FTX.com will boost its remaining competitors. Wood, who has a significant position in crypto exchange Coinbase Global, said in a webinar that the crypto industry will be down one exchange and those that are left standing will be all the stronger for it. Hello and welcome to Money Talks. In today's video, ARK Invest CEO Cathie Wood shares her outlook on the economic indicators as well as the market signals, including Bitcoin's bullish signals and its reduced volatility as compared to the stock market.
Now, the interesting thing about this environment is if you look at crypto, so Bitcoin has been incredibly stable since its June lows. In fact, the volatility, 30-day volatility of Bitcoin has dropped below the 30-day volatility of the S&P and the NASDAQ. And you'll see that in our Bitcoin Monthly. We're publishing it this evening. And there are some very provocative charts in there that are suggesting we're in a bottoming period for Bitcoin. Now, we do have to be careful. We've seen a nice base develop here. And as many of you might remember from our Tesla call in the day, I said, the base, whenever you have a very long base, and in the case of Tesla, it was 5 years, but whenever you have a very long base, something big is going to happen, because that's the bull and the bears dueling each other. In the case of Tesla, our bet was we'd have a big upside breakout, and we did. In the case of Bitcoin, we would expect the same. The base is not nearly as long. And a lot of the on-chain analytics are supporting that point of view. We're also going to be talking more about this in our market update next Tuesday. And in the next few weeks, you'll see 3 research papers, one on AI accelerators, one on the Bitcoin energy / utility ecosystem, pretty provocative, and one on how important, maybe the most important innovation in history will be autonomous mobility. So look for those papers from Frank Downing, Yassine Almandra, and Sam Corris and Tasha Keeney. So with that, I'll leave you with this idea that, once again, that Bitcoin is an example of a very early stage innovation that we think has miles to go. And so this down round is in the early stages of early stage growth. The volatility is normal. But then again, when you look back historically, that volatility, which feels so awful at the time, turns into, looks like a blip if you look backwards. And we think that's a case with truly disruptive innovation around which we have revolved our strategies, as opposed to the FANGs, which are being disrupted. That's a completely different story, completely different.
Shares of Coinbase fell nearly 14% in afternoon trading on Tuesday after Binance, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, said that it has signed a non-binding agreement to buy FTX.com, a unit of major rival FTX, to help cover a liquidity crunch at the cryptocurrency exchange. Wood, who has been a prominent bullish investor in cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, again called the Federal Reserve's aggressive pace of interest rate hikes a monetary mistake, and said that we think within 6 to 9 months we will see a significant downturn in inflation that will invite more talk of outright price deflation. Wood's ARK Innovation ETF, which was the top-performing U.S. equity fund in 2020 during the so-called pandemic bubble, has fallen nearly 64% for the year to date as higher interest rates weigh on the unprofitable speculative technology stocks in her portfolio.
This month's video is called Defanged. And I think what is happening here is many investors, both growth and value, are beginning to understand the world of disruption out there. Even the FANGs are being disrupted. Many growth managers think they have the right kind of exposure to innovation in the form of the FANGs, or they did at the beginning of this year. And much of that kind of thinking has disappeared here. And so what I will do later in this call is talk a little bit about what this means and how it is distinguished from the kinds of strategies we're involved in. The FANGs became the biggest parts of the benchmarks, like the S&P and the NASDAQ, especially the NASDAQ 100. And again, that was very backwards looking. Those stocks rose to the top because of past success. And then TikTok came along and talk about disruption. And then a recession comes along, as exemplified by the advertising crash that is taking place and hurting many of these companies. And we're seeing layoffs and freezes, something we've never seen from these companies. But that's distinguished from the kind of innovation in our strategies. We are very early stage, and while our stocks may have suffered as much as the FANGs have, certain of the FANGs have, what we're seeing right now is very early stage growth.
So, do you agree with Cathie Wood's take on Bitcoin bottom and its uncorrelatedness to stock market? Tell us in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon with the next video. Thank you so much for watching.